Hello, Guardians. It is Ebontis. It is May 17th. We are in the final week of Season of the Risen. Now, the other thing is, we know still nothing as of right now, which is like basically 5 o'clock Central Time on Tuesday. We did not get a trailer today. I was up streaming early, expecting it to drop on a Tuesday. Now, maybe we get something tomorrow. Still not entirely sure. They would initiate something on a Wednesday. They usually don't. Thursday would be the TWAB day, and I honestly don't see them putting out a full trailer and then a TWAB all on Thursday. That would seem a little kind of weird. That's not their typical way to do it. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, not going to happen. My guess is if it doesn't happen tomorrow, it's going to be maybe a teaser or a trailer on Monday or nothing, and then they're just going to do everything right before. So Monday and Tuesday next week is actually where I'm looking at this point because I expected it today. We didn't get a teaser on Monday. We got nothing today. And Wednesday feels weird to start the marketing cycle. So they may actually just drop that teaser trailer Monday morning or early Tuesday before server downtime and patches and that type of stuff. So if you're looking for Season 17 info, I still have nothing. I expect Solar 3.0, but outside of that, I know squat. Now, why am I talking about all of Season 17 with regards to the Palindrome being on screen? As of this morning, when reset happened, everybody was expecting the Palindrome to be the Nightfall weapon. It is now. For about 4 to 5 hours, it was Silicon Neuroma. So now the Nightfall weapon is going to be, for this final week, Palindrome and Plug.One. You have both of these. Now, for Palindrome, it is the last chance you're going to be able to get this weapon, period. It is going to be pulled out of the Nightfall pool. Stuff like this doesn't ever seem to go to Xur. I don't think I've ever seen Nightfall weapons from Xur or Banshee or anything like that. I've seen Trials random weapons come through there, but I don't know if I've ever actually seen a Nightfall weapon. So this is theoretically your last chance to get this weapon. You've got a week. And there are 2 places that you can farm for both this and then the Fusion Rifle Plug.One. Now, both of these I'm going to go through their perk combinations, so I'll do some timestamps down below. Plug.One as well has some cool perks on it. It is a decent fusion rifle here. It is going to be in the precision frame, so it's going to be a 740. It's kind of in that same main ingredient field. With regards to damage and changes and things of that nature. So let's go through the changes, or at least the perks that you guys can go for on this one, but I want to explain where you can get these weapons from. One of them is from Guardian Games, whether it's from training or the Nightfall playlist. You can get it from the training playlist, and the reason why I still advise this one, it is common, which means, you know, run it 2 or 3 times and you're probably going to get one. You also get a chance for exotics, you also get a chance for prisms, and it's match made. You're going to be able to get through this one with the team just because it's going to be an option. Now you've got Unstoppable and Overload. This finally updated. Unstoppable and Overload. You've got Double Vanguard if you're trying to rank that one up. The Acute Burn is still void. Shielded foes on all of them. If you got Arbalist, bring it with you. But the idea is you're match made. Hopefully between the 3 of you, you can run through this one as many times as you want without a fire team, and you can do this. So this is going to be the birthplace of the Vial. It is a longer strike for sure, but you will be able to get a crap ton of points in here as well. So if you're working on cards to get rolls on the title, you can do both. Now, your other option is going to be the Nightfall. The Nightfall is going to be the Scarlet Keep. Now, if you're looking to do the Legend version, matchmaking is off. And this is where you're going to have the same chances, basically. Common for exotics, common for Nightfall weapons. You're going to need a fire team for this one. Now, if you know Scarlet Keep may not be that bad on Legend. If you do Hero, the Nightfall weapon is going to be uncommon. Prisms will be rare. Exotics uncommon, that type of thing. Depends on what you're trying to farm. But if you're going for Prisms, going for Nightfall weapons and other things like that, I recommend Guardian Games. Even if it is a longer strike, it's match made at a higher difficulty, so your chances are just going to be higher. So now, I got the intro out of the way. This is your last week of the season and also your last chance to ever go for Palindrome. Plug.One is going away at the end of next season, so you'll have the next 3 months, probably, approximately at least, the next 3 months to go for Plug.One. But Palindrome is literally gone after this week. So if you want a Palindrome, you want to farm for a decent one, now's your time to live in the Nightfall playlist and see if you can get yourself a good one. Just a reminder. So, now let's talk about some rules. Now, the website I'm looking at is d2gunsmith.com. If you've never been there, go there. It's a really fun way to experiment. But the idea is you've got Palindrome, and apparently if you want to go through the Nightfall version, you can go for the Adept. That is totally up to you. But the big thing that most people are going to go with Palindrome, it's a very good 140 hand cannon, very popular in PvP as well. Notice the recoil direction is 98. You do not need to correct that. It's basically damn near vertical. Has a decent starting range and stability, but you can make that even better. If you're going for a masterwork, ones that you want to hold on to are going to be range. Range for this thing is going to make the difference here. Now, as for aim assist, you're at 79. That's already extremely high. If you throw target adjuster, that's going to give you +5. Icarus mod, depending on how you play, depending on your airborne effectiveness, things like that, Icarus can still be a good thing depending on your playstyle. Now, when it comes to perks, again, we're leaning into range heavily. Hammerforged Rifling is going to be 9 straight up range. Personally, you can go for Hammerforged Rifling or Small Bore. Small Bore is still going to be 6 stability and 6 range. You're giving up 3 range, but you're getting 6 stability for it. Not a bad give and take. So either of those is probably what I would go for. If you get everything else that you love and you get Corkscrew Rifling, that's not the worst thing in the world because it's 4, 4, and 4. But preference of total range, Hammerforged, Small Bore, and then, of course, you're kind of like runner-up, you know, third person on the podium, Corkscrew Rifling. Now, when it comes to here, your magazine slot, now, the preference is going to be ricochet rounds because you're getting the 5 range, but you're also getting the 9 stability. High caliber rounds could have some potential target knock, like flinch, adding that on type thing could be like one of those bonuses that they change in. If you get either of these, it's not bad, but ricochet rounds is going to be kind of the optimal version. If you get light mag, it is going to boost your reload speed. You won't have the stability bonus, but you will get the range. Not the worst choice. If you get any of these options, you're probably going to be okay. Those are the main ones that I would go for. If you end up with a PvE roll, armor piercing rounds is not awful because you're going to do a little more to shields, but generally ricochet rounds would probably be my number 1. Small bore preference as well. Now, when it comes to rolls, PvP, quick draw rangefinder is going to be a very, very popular choice here. You're going to have the grants 100 ready and stow handling for 1 second or until ADS. Basically, it's just going to be insanely fast handling on this weapon. You've also got rangefinder here to give you more zoom, which improves your range. Also going to improve your magnification, making targets a little easier to hit. So quick draw, rangefinder, definitely going to be an option. Now, you've also got outlaw, never a bad thing on a hand cannon, depending on boosting that reload speed is going to basically max it out. Now, rampage is gone. Rampage no longer exists. So keep that in mind. That was a previous one. You theoretically could go for killing wind in rangefinder. Killing wind, when you get that final blow, is going to give you range and handling, a little bit of mobility. Not a bad way to go. If you get those kills and you're able to run this thing in PvP, this is going to be a very viable option because 20 range, 50 mobility, 40 handling, it's going to be very, very snappy feeling as well. Even without something like quick draw, killing wind after a kill, still going to be good. Now, if you're going into PvP or PvE with this thing, I should say, you technically can get stats for all and one for all. Or you could get something like overflow and one for all as well. Probably a little easier because that's going to basically double your magazine capacity. You've got 11 right now. And while one for all, you're going to need to hit 3 different targets with a hand cannon. Not always doable in high level activity where you potentially would want that. Stats for all, one for all is like probably okay. If you get something like that and you get like say armor piercing and something like small bore, experiment with it in PvE, but it's probably not going to be your god roll. This is probably meant to more be a PvP hand cannon, but if you do get one in PvE, you could experiment with something, again, like Killing Wind, one for all, not bad. You could do Killing Wind and high impact reserves, something along those lines. Thresh, I would probably skip over. Turnabout, don't even worry about. Outlaw's never bad for reloading, so that could be an option as well. So it really is kind of your choice, but mainly probably leaning into this for PvP. Quick draw, rangefinder, Killing Wind, rangefinder are going to be very popular. Outlaw, if you do get that kill, get that very fast reload and get back to it. And again, rangefinder being a very popular option there. High impact reserves, probably not going to get too much use on this thing when you get down to the end of the hand cannon. So rangefinder being very popular. One for all, probably for PvE. I don't imagine Unrelenting is going to be that beneficial here as well. So that's mostly it for the Palindrome. Now let's talk about Plug.One. Remember, Palindrome is gone in this week. On May 24th, when the new season launches, you're not going to be able to get this weapon. So if you want it, now's the time. Next, we come to Plug.One. This is going to be a pretty stout fusion rifle with some unique perks. Some have gone away, some are new, but your options are going to be as follows. Now, when it comes to precision frame fusion rifles, they are getting a bit of a tweak, but they're still probably going to be very good. They're going to have a decent amount of range to them, and the number of bolts that you have to hit from them is going to be an option, so keep that in mind. Stability is going to be very strong on a fusion rifle to keep your bolts that come out of the fusion rifle nice and tight. You do have a recoil direction of 75, so it's going to be fairly vertical, which helps already. But when it comes to Plug.One, you're also going to want to pay attention to Either one of these are going to be okay. Stability is going to boost that thing up from basically 54 to 63. Not bad. If you get stability, don't knock it. Range also not going to be a bad thing, going to boost out the range a little bit. Now the range is going to come back a little bit next season, so these numbers down here are not going to be accurate. They're going to be brought in by about a meter or two. But range not a bad thing to get a little more damage fall off effectiveness. Stability is going to keep a tighter grouping, helping you hit more of those bolts that you need to connect with. Either one of those theoretically going to be okay. We'll leave it on range for now. Same thing here. When it comes to some of these perks, there are some similar ones that you're going to see. If you get polygonal rifling, 9 stability, really going to tighten things up. Especially if you get something like range, that's a nice way to balance it out. If you get stability as your masterwork and you can get hammerforged rifling, again, kind of a similar benefit. Depending on either one of these, if you get small bore, range and handling, not a bad way to go on either one of those. I love these three. Again, a little slightly off the podium this time is number 4. Excuse me. Corkscrew rifling, that's going to be number 4. So hammerforged is range, and again, depending on what you pair it with. If you get all range and you get all range here, you know, you might see about what you can do to, you know, you might see if you get another one. But if you get range and stability, that's not a big deal. If you get range and stability here, kind of balance between the masterwork and the perk, doing all right. And again, same thing follows over here. If you get projection fuse, that's 9 range. If I get all range here, like small bore is probably a really good option for both. That's kind of my preference. Depending on your masterwork, if you get stability, look at this, 78, 69 on stability. If you get stability here, this thing is going to be really tight on the spread. Anything after that, liquid coils, I wouldn't do ionized or enhanced, and then accelerated coils. You will drop the impact, which is going to make it hit a little harder but charge a little faster. But on something like a 740, that might not be the worst thing because you can charge a little faster. It's still going to hit hard enough to kill, but you might get that slightly faster charge time. I wouldn't go charge time here. Yeah, it's going to lower the charge time quite a bit, but your impact is going to drop substantially. So that's one of those where when it comes to like the damage per bolt, I would really have to do some testing on this one. I don't have one specifically like this, but personally, I would stick with range and stability on these two because you can get some really nice rolls out of this one. If you get stability, maybe range on this one, you're flirting with some really fun numbers. Finally, for the last 2 columns, you've got heating up. If you do get a final blow, lasts 5.5 seconds, get accuracy cone growth, get extra stability, recoil direction. It's basically going to be nearly a laser beam if you get heating up for that extra one. Under pressure, never ever a bad thing when it comes to PvP because you start with 2. You're already on the bottom half of the magazine. Improved stability and improved accuracy. Grants 25% to 50% accuracy and up to 30% stability. That's pretty impressive. So believe me, under pressure, kind of one to definitely pay attention to. When it comes to anything else, Compulsive Reloader, not really going to get a whole lot of use out of that in PvP. Killing Wind or Heating Up is something if you want that fusion rifle to keep working for you, if you're able to manage special ammo. But unfortunately, special ammo is going to be really hard to come by when it gets the next season because they don't want people running around with gobs and gobs of special. So honestly, Under Pressure is probably going to be my pick here, to be completely honest with you, for PvP. Now, also for PvP, you could go Adrenaline Junkie. Theoretically, you've got a little extra handling, approximately 20. And you've also, if you get a kill, you can get more damage. Kickstart, gain bonus damage and charge rate during a slide after sprinting. So if you're mobile, you can put this thing to work. And then Successful Warm-Up, also very, very interesting. If you get a kill, the charge speed is insanely fast, so your next shot can be very beneficial if you got to kill 2 people close together. Under Pressure is kind of the number one that I would probably say here, especially going into next season. These 2 you could get a little bit of use if you can keep heavy ammo or special ammo going, but if you're running around with 1 the entire time, this is probably going to be your guy to go with. Now for PvE, you do have a couple options. Reservoir Burst is not a bad thing to go with. You get a full battery, you're going to get 1 more in the magazine, and if you get a kill on enemies, you're going to get them to explode if your magazine is full. And you also get 1 more in the magazine. Now, keeping that magazine full is key. So if you get a kill, you're able to get a faster reload. Something like Feeding Frenzy works fairly well here. If you're going for, you know, PvE, for example, any of these are mostly going to be okay, but honestly, like, still keep the same stats because you're not going to get faster reload. The other option is Compulsive Reloader. Grants increased reload when close to full magazine. So if you get Compulsive Reloader and Reservoir Burst, that pairs very well together for PvE. And that's the goal. You want Compulsive Reloader and Reservoir Burst working together in PvE. You've got Under Pressure and, say, Successful Warm-Up, or maybe Kickstart, depending on your playstyle for PvP. Now, the other option, maybe you get like Adrenaline Junkie and say Feeding Frenzy. You can pump out quite a bit of damage if you're clearing ads. I honestly wouldn't worry about like Adaptive Munitions on a Fusion Rifle. Doesn't really feel like the most optimal use of your ammo. And then over here, Stunning Recovery. If Fusion Rifles can stun something at some point, maybe. But you've also got the main option of Final Blows with this weapon grant a little bit of health. And theoretically, if you get some Final Blows, you get a little bit of health back. So I would leave that one on there for Vanguard trait, but that might be PvE. But generally, Stunning Champions, maybe that'll get a chance to do it. We will see. But again, small bore, stability and range, all stability. Range and stability is main things here. Same thing with stability. If you went full stability on this thing, 1, 2, you can get 81 stability on this thing. It's going to be very, very vertical already with that 75, very tight and controllable recoil on this thing. And then if you get something like Under Pressure, theoretically, your option here, Kickstart, Successful Warm-Up. Kickstart's probably your most usable option all the time because you gain bonus damage and charge during a slide after sprinting for a short time. So again, that's a playstyle you'd have to lean into. Cornered is hard is because if you are within 2 enemies. I always hate those things where you're within 2. But honestly, if you get like Successful Warm-Up, that second kill is going to be really fast. If you go full range, you can also bump this thing out to almost 90 range, but I would probably make sure you get a little bit of stability in there. My optimal choice would probably be somewhere in this realm. So that is Plug.One. You've still got another 3 months to go after this one, but Palindrome I wanted to make sure and cover because that goes away at the end of this week. So if you guys found this video helpful, share this with somebody who might need it. If you enjoyed this one, drop a like below, leave a comment if there's maybe a role that I didn't mention for either of these weapons that you think I should have. If you want to find me on Twitter, it's Ebontis, streaming on Twitch, whether it be Destiny, which will definitely be happening soon, next week, and then variety stuff as well, and then right here on YouTube. If you enjoy the content, hit that subscribe button, hit the alert bell. Nice way to support the channel. Those of you who are YouTube members or Patreon subs, thank you for that extra support. All of you are awesome. I'll see you soon.